I almost got you there, Lou. I almost got you there because you were about to call me Pitbull. You were about to call me Mr. Worldwide, but you
Yeah.
corrected yourself. You're getting better, Lou. You're getting better.
How's things, Jeff? You good?
Everything's lovely, brother. How are you?
I'm all good, mate. Thank you. I remember we done a podcast about 3 year ago. It was, I think, just over 3 year ago, and just to see how much things have changed, mate, from our first podcast to now. It's unbelievable, isn't it, mate?
The growth of this thing, there were only probably a few people at the beginning that saw the upward trajectory of this. Um, it took me a couple of shows to really understand where we were going. But I think to our great founder, Dave Feldman, he saw where this was going before the first bell even rang for BKFC 1.
Yeah, and it must be a great, because it's just a normal thing for you now, isn't it? BKFC, like it's an everyday thing for you. Like you're on the road all the time, traveling with a team, doing the shows and that. It must be an amazing time, like through this journey in life, mate.
Well, what's interesting, throughout my entire career, I can't remember one time that I wanted to be synonymous with one combat sport because I love them all.
Yeah,
I've been a combat sports fan ever since I was a kid. And I've loved if you can hit someone, if you can kick somebody, if you can take somebody down, it doesn't matter. I love it all. But I was the first ring announcer in the United States to announce a legal state-sanctioned bare knuckle fighting event.
yeah,
Only so many announcers really get the honor to work a brand new sport for the first time. So it was an incredible honor, and it's like watching your kids grow up, Lou.
yeah.
You want the best for them, just like I want the best for BKFC. So I just can't see myself doing anything else other than bare knuckle fighting championship. I mean, I love my other clients, but my true love is BKFC.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just a sport as well. There seems to be like a family vibe about like the BKFC circle, like David Feldman himself. Like he always seems to be loyal to the people who've always been with him from day one. Do you know what I mean? Like he always looks after the people who've always been there for him.
One of his main sayings, 100% loyalty. You can't have it any other way. And I couldn't agree anymore, especially with what he has put in and all the hustle that he has shown since this has gone on this rocket ship. And it's not just to the moon. It's not the moon, the stars. It's even going past Mars. I mean, we're talking the Milky Way galaxy there's no ceiling on this thing. So he does show that loyalty to his team. And he always mentions his team. He always says, I couldn't have gotten this far without having one of the best team in the world. And I do believe overall, if you look at our team from out in front of the camera to all the way back in the production, we really do have one of the best teams in combat sports. We really do.
Definitely, mate. And before there was a time where even if Conor McGregor mentioned the BKFC in an interview, it would have been huge for the BKFC. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then all of a sudden, he's signed over to like co-own in the promotion. He's promoting the hell out of it. Like I never ever seen it coming as quick as it has. Like what show did you work at where you thought, wow, like they've really broke it now?
Well, Knucklemania 4 is where Conor McGregor announced to everyone that he was a part owner of Bare
Yeah,
Knuckle Fighting Championship moving forward. And I had heard the rumors ahead of time, so I had an idea that he was ready to jump on board. But I didn't know that it was going to be in the capacity of a co-owner. And he has just been I mean, I was one of the best when it came to advertising and pushing the BKFC brand. But this man has been with us for just a little, almost a year. He's been with us almost a year now. And he talks about BKFC everywhere. And you know where this guy goes all over the world to the biggest fights, to the biggest social gatherings. I mean, right now, he's currently in Washington. He's currently in
Yeah,
Washington right
with Donald
now.
Trump.
That's right. That's right. You know what a huge UFC fan Donald Trump is, and he actually made mention of Conor McGregor at one of his meetings. So I'm sure he's going to get some FaceTime with the Prez. So that's really cool. But to have someone with that kind of influence and someone with that kind of a reach all across the world, and people love Conor McGregor, um, that is going to put so many more eyes on the product. And it's also going to show that one of the best fighters in the world, I mean, not only does he love this, but he has said to us all that he is going to toe the line one day in BKFC. And I thoroughly believe that that will happen.
Who do you think would be the perfect opponent for him for his debut?
I think they were right the first time. I think Jeremy Stevens would actually be a great opponent for him. I think those two would match up so well. And after what we saw at Knucklemania, we saw that nice little face off, nose to nose, toe to toe. Everybody liked that. Everybody said, you know what? I'd pay to watch that.
Yeah,
I definitely pay to watch that. And let's be honest, I'm not saying anything negative about the UFC.
has he just
But if we're
signed back with the UFC?
but if we're talking about the notorious Conor McGregor, take a poll. Would you rather see him go back to the UFC, or would you rather see the notorious one take off the gloves and toe the line with BKFC? Me personally, I'd much rather see him toe the line with us and show us. And he's got that left that'll move a tank. I want to see what that left looks like without a glove.
Yeah, and I think if Conor McGregor ever did fight in BKFC, it'd be a pay-per-view record breaking sale of any sport, I reckon.
Oh, it'd have to be like a stadium show. It would
Oh,
absolutely have to be 50,000 plus. It'd have to be a 50,000 plus stadium show, 100%. It would be the spectacle upon spectacles with BKFC. And it will happen one day. When? I'm not sure. Connor's 36 years old. So, as far as we're talking bare knuckle fighting championship, we've got plenty of fighters in that age range, and if not older, and they're doing just fine. So, he actually has, I think he has more time to fight with BKFC than he would with the UFC.
yes, definitely would, mate. And talking about stadiums, Knucklemania in Philadelphia. Wow, what an experience, mate. Jeez, that was something else, mate. That was something else.
17,700 people. I mean, we definitely knew that we were going to do well, but we didn't know that we were going to break all records when it comes to combat sporting events at the Wells Fargo Center, and we certainly did. It's one of those things. You look at it now, you look at it then. It doesn't matter whether it's then, now, or in the future. It all looks great because you remember that this was the day that BKFC really stepped into the spotlight and owned it. I mean, we didn't just, have a fantastic night. We owned it. The fights were fantastic. If you remember Knucklemania 5, you remember the opening fight that we had on the undercard. Greatest opening fight we have ever had on a BKFC event. And that's a tough one to beat because we've had some damn good fights to kick off our BKFC pay-per-views or BKFC on DAZN. And that one was just one to remember.
Yeah, it was crazy, mate. Absolutely crazy. Is that the biggest audience like you've performed, worked in front of?
Hmm. Not even close, brother. Not even close. No, I've easily gone into the 40s and 50s and 60,000s. Yeah, I've worked. The biggest event I believe that I've been a part of myself was I did the undercard for the Canelo and Austin Trout fight back in 2013. And by the time I finished up and Jimmy Lennon Jr. took over for Showtime, I believe we were somewhere around 45, 46,000.
Wow, that is amazing. That
But you
is
know what?
amazing.
I mean, the big numbers are always good for the promotion. They're good for the show. They're good for the fighters. They're good for everybody because the more people we draw, the more money everybody makes overall, and I love that. But as far as I go, I don't care if I'm playing a house in front of 100 people or 100,000 people. I love it all. I am a performer first and foremost. And I don't criticize just because it's not completely and totally sold out. Because then, if we're not sold out, then I have an objective. And that's to make sure that whoever is there, I'm going to have them standing up, get up from their seats, get on their feet, and really starting to get into the fights. So I don't discriminate when it comes to crowd size.
Yeah, of course. And talking as well about like special events, because I haven't really spoke you on a podcast about this, but let's talk a bit about BKFC Marbella, because I thought that was a very special event, that mate.
That was really something because of how Spain embraced us for the very first time.
Yeah,
It didn't matter what was going on with any event that we had in Marbella, whether it was the opening press conference, whether it was the press conference before the weigh-in show, the fight, the after party. It was all packed. Everybody showed up for anything that was related to BKFC. And while we were walking around the streets of Marbella, you couldn't go a block without seeing an advertising, a banner, or a poster with BKFC on it. I mean, the team over there did a fantastic job on spreading the word for the very first bare knuckle fighting event in the history of Spain, in modern day, and the fact that it is in a decommissioned bullfighting arena on top of that. And not only that, man, I mean, best dressed BKFC crowd we've ever had. There were a few of them out there that were trying to outdo Mr. Live Worldwide when it came to their attire. I mean, nobody did, obviously, but some of them came pretty damn close. So it's kind of like a 2001: A Space Odyssey. I see that, and I'm kind of beating on my chest, in offense.
but yeah, it was an amazing. It was great as well. Obviously, I put a suit and that on myself for the VIP party after, mate. It just felt great to be part of it, and it seemed like everyone who's put the graft in, like whether it's uh, putting the frigging tables out every show or being the ring announcer, being the referee, being someone who's doing a podcast, a fighter, a medic. Everyone's worked hard, haven't they? And it just seemed like everyone just got to enjoy it in Marbella.
Well, because we were all in the same boat together, because we were wondering exactly how this is going to play out. And it played out better than we could have hoped for. And not only that, it was also our very first fight with our deal with DAZN. And I couldn't have,
DAZN.
and they had a great time. They had a great time. Oh my gosh, they loved what we brought because we brought something different. Unfortunately, we live in an era right now to where all other combat sports are a little diluted, because there's so many options. There's not that many bare knuckle options as of right now. There are a few, but everybody knows the difference between the options and who is the standard bearer for the sport as of right now. And that's us.
Do you still get the same sort of, even though where you're only spectating when the fights are going on, do you still get the sort of like butterflies when the fights are starting, like excitement for them to start and that? Let's say,
I I'm going to be honest with you. I've never had a case of butterflies in my stomach in my life. Never, never. I'm not a nervous person in that sense because I'm a performer by heart. I
yeah,
love it. What I did get is I got the goosebumps.
Yeah.
Oh, you better believe those goosebumps were running wild when we do a show. That's the pure electricity that only a live audience can provide. It's like a drug, Lou. I go
Yeah.
out there and I give my soul for the fight fans. Do I make mistakes? Hell yes. I have blood running in my veins and oxygen in my lungs. So that means I'm a human being, which means I'm prone to mistakes. Happens to the best of us. But there isn't a day that I don't go out there and give everything that I've got for the fighters and for the fight fans. Because once you see everything come together, you see the fight fans come for the fighters and the fighters give everything they got, that that joining, that union. It's beautiful, man. It is a beautiful moment between fans, fighters, and just little old me standing in the ring just wanting to start a fight.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, like how we sort of get like the opportunity to be in with the fighters, like backstage and seeing them like before the wins and the fights and that, and like just looking at the emotions in the room, like knowing that this isn't just a fight, like this is a bare knuckle war, and like they're gonna get cut to pieces or knocked out. There's gonna be some serious damage done, and they know that's coming. Do you know what I mean? That's coming, and it's just like it's warrior shit, this mate, isn't it?
Well, I'd like to say that I really spend a lot of time, that I spend that time looking at the fighters backstage and such. But unfortunately, Lou, I have extreme tunnel vision when I work. So there's
Yeah.
a lot around me that I miss. And that's only because I am so geared up and so in the moment, in the zone, ready to rock. Every now and then, I will get a moment with a fighter. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like to really mess around with the fighters before they go out.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, I'll wish them luck. But as far as like deep intellectual conversations or taking any kind of time away from their warm up before they head out there, I don't really like to interrupt that. I believe that that is a flow that needs to remain constant from that point until the fight is over. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. I don't really like interrupting the flow for the fighter.
Yeah, 100%. When it's like fight day and things, it's they need to be left alone, don't they? They don't want to be bothered and pestered. But like when you go like a few days out early and like you're in the fighter hotel and you just see the energy around, and it's just it's great to see like how these lads just bite down and go, mate. Because a lot of
How
these
they're
lads,
how they're wrapping their heads around it. I mean, they're wrapping their heads around it. I mean, especially for the ones that make the debut at BKFC. Now, they may have a fighting background. I've seen so many people that have come into the BKFC with a UFC background, Bellator, PFL, Glory. It's
yeah,
I've seen them all come in, and it's interesting the first fight to see there is a real learning curve in bare knuckle fighting compared to other combat sports. And the only way that you're really going to understand that learning curve is to get in there, is to get in there and toe the line and see that that first shot that you take with no reps, no gloves, nothing between you and your opponent but air and imagination. Whew, it is a different story altogether.
yeah. Like imagine being the fighter in the BKFC and going to bed at night knowing that the next day you're fighting Perdomo. Like, do you know what I mean? In
I'd
a
have
bare
to.
knuckle fight.
Oh my gosh, I'd have to probably take some bourbon and some Ambien to get me to sleep for that one.
Like it's crazy when you break it down like in your head and that, and you just think, wow, these
Well, if
guys
you're
must be
against
sleep.
Perdomo, guess what? The night before or that day, you're probably going to sleep anyway.
Yeah. Who's your favorite fighter at the minute, Jeff? Who's your most exciting fighter?
Um, I would probably say the most exciting fighter to me, the guy who always shows up to fight, is Julian Lane.
Yeah,
I love Julian Lane. Win, lose, or draw, he
let me bang,
shows
bro.
up. He shows up. The nickname says it all. But as far as someone who I believe is really gonna shake some shit up, I definitely think Perdomo is one of them. I think we've got to get Perdomo in there against a world class, because he's ready to take that next step, that next fight where he comes up against basically a gatekeeper before he gets an opportunity at a title.
Yeah, I'd
And
like
I
to see him in
and
against Arnold Adams or someone.
oh, that would be a oh man, I couldn't think of a more interesting fight when it comes to two styles than Perdomo and AJ Adams. I could absolutely see that fight because AJ's a tough fighter to read, and Perdomo, he's basically the Cuban Mike Tyson. Styles make fights, and that right there, if there's anyone who would be a gatekeeper, I think it'd be our two-time former world heavyweight champion AJ Adams.
Definitely. What would you like to see next for our very own Mick Terrell?
Uh, I don't know if he is going to enact his championship rematch clause sooner or later, or if he wants a tune-up fight before he takes that next step. I think that there's quite a few heavyweights that you could match up Mick Terrell with. Now, does Mick Terrell want to fight again with us here in the States, or does he want to kind of, get that tune-up fight closer to home turf? I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I'm not sure. A lot of it is really going to depend on where the fight goes down with him. The location of the fight. I mean, you've got, obviously you've got more options if you come stateside, but he might want to fight closer to home before he comes over here again. So I'm really not sure on that, Lou.
that's the thing as well. But if I asked you that question 3 or 4 years ago, you'd have maybe been able to give me two names or something that were worthy of fighting. But the divisions are that stacked now. Like there's 100 people you could match him with. I'm
There's quite a few.
exaggerating a bit there, but you know what I mean.
No, and I'm excited as hell that the heavyweight division is getting stacked because we all remember those of us who were lucky enough to grow up in the 70s and the 80s. We all remember that the heavyweight champion in boxing was the baddest man on the planet. American heavyweight boxing back in the day, that was the true baddest man on the planet. Now it doesn't even matter if you're American anymore. I
Yeah,
just want to see the baddest man on the planet with no gloves. I mean, you thought you were bad with gloves on. I think you're that much more bad without them on. So let's get that baddest man on the planet heavyweight picture. Let's get it back up.
yeah. It's like a lot of boxers get shocked in the BKFC because I think they really underestimate the clinch work and they're like a fish out of water when they do bits of training leading up to it, but the majority of them don't think they're going to need it until they get fucking grabbed in it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, not
And
only
then,
that, they don't get to hit as much.
yeah,
They can't throw away careless shots in bare knuckle because that careless shot could break your hand. That careless shot, you've got to be very strategical. This is chess, not checkers. You have to be very careful on how you approach a bare knuckle fight when you do not have protection for your hands. Now, most people, they should know that weaponizing your hand is when you put the gloves on, when you put the wraps on, then you turn your hand into a bona fide weapon. Everybody thinks, oh no, it's the other way around when you take them off. I'm like, no, no, not at all. It completely changes the game, completely changes the pace. Does it hurt more? I've been told that it does. I mean, I got a bare knuckle fist when I was probably in, seventh or eighth grade. And I'm sure I'm certainly sure it hurt back then. Plus, I got a couple of knuckle sandwiches coming up through the independent pro wrestling time when I was still paying my dues. So I do remember what that feels like, but not for 5 2-minute rounds. No
No
way. And I
way.
don't no, and I don't presume to act like I do. So it's like I told you before, that learning curve. It's more defined than people think it is.
Yeah, it definitely is, mate. And have you looked much into the BKFC Manchester card that we've got coming on over here on Saturday, the 29th of March?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Got some
Uh,
great fights.
no, there are some great fights. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that one because that one's really close to our big 2-night uber spectacular in Dubai on the 4th and the 5th. So I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure what's going on there if they're not going to have someone local there because all of us have to turn around right after Hollywood the very next week to head out to Dubai. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be.
Still going to be a fantastic card, and I'm sorry I'm going to be missing it because I've done a lot of shows in the UK, but I've never done a show in Manchester.
Yeah, do you enjoy coming over to the UK, Jeff?
Very, very much so. Very, very much so because I love the fans and the the people that work with the ISKA are part of a big commission group that I've worked with for many, many years. So I've got true blue friends that I've traveled the world with that commission that helps out with the BKFC event. I mean, they work everywhere. They do the ACA shows, they do the UFC shows that come over
Yeah,
there, they do the PFL shows. It's this one consistent commission, and these are the best bunch of guys. Not only when you work, but hanging out afterwards and having a
yeah.
pint or two or three. It depends on where you are, of course. But no, I love doing shows in the UK. Absolutely love to. I mean, I haven't been to the UK in a little while, and that's a tragedy. So I'm good. Mr. Live Worldwide is going to be making his way back to the UK, guaranteed.
Awesome, mate. And yeah, they're a great set of guys. Paul Nichols and his lads.
Oh, it's my
Great
boy.
lads.
That's my Paul Nichols and me, man. I'm gonna tell you, every time that I come down, usually the first place that we hit is Nando's.
Yeah, that's everyone who I think after the wins straight and Nando's.
Straight to Nando's. We know what we're getting in Nando's.
And that when I was talking about you there, when you come over to the UK and that, 'cause I speak to a lot to the fighters, as you know, like pretty much every day, and they all ask, is Jeff coming over to like ring? Because it must give him an extra boost or like a sense of wow, like it's a big thing for him when you come over, and the lads like really enjoy you doing the job. They also, I think Cyrus Fees does an amazing job as well.
Cyrus does a fantastic job. They've brought Cyrus over there because he also does some of Cyrus is our illustrious host, and I guess sometimes they bring him over there and he wears a couple of hats. He'll do the ring announcing and he will do the post fight interviews. Maybe
Yeah,
sometimes that he'll do the hosting. Sometimes they may have him wear 3 or 4 hats in just one show, and I know the reason for that is purely budgetary as of right now because
yeah, of
for the
course.
small for the smaller shows, you've got to be a little careful about it. But when I come over there and I get the opportunity to announce for these fighters, and if they even if I even know that they're that pumped up about me coming over there just to do my job, oof, man, that makes me feel good. That definitely makes me know that I'm doing my job the way that it's meant to be. And I love that. And I love that. So to all the UK fighters out there who get pumped up hearing that Mr. Live Worldwide may be coming, dude, thank you so much.
And obviously at the BKFC Manchester card, we've got a good headline event. Well, the card top to bottom's absolutely stacked. But we've got Gary Fox versus John O'Chipchase for the £145 UK title.
That's a fun fight, man. That is just a fun fight. And the reason it's a fun fight is because you have seen these ranks with the BKFC events, and that's a really good matched up fight. It really is.
Yeah, we've also got a big name in the UK. He was one of always on, Eddie Hearn. He was always fighting on Eddie Hearn shows. He won a Commonwealth and British title as well. He's making his debut for the BKFC in the co-main event. So that'll be a great move over here in the UK for the stable of fighters.
Now, is that Cullen or is that
Yeah,
Cullen?
Jack Cullen. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, he does have that. He does have that. He does have that boxing background. But again, just because you have a boxing background, don't stand on that 100% when you come over here. Because
yeah,
we've seen boxing champions quit on the stool with BKFC. Now, having a professional background in fighting as a pro definitely gives you an advantage. But I've also seen some guys that have come into the BKFC and they're literally popping their cherry as a pro, and they kill
yeah.
it, and they kill it because this is where they belong. And you really get a good sense of the fighters that truly belong in the BKFC. It's I keep going back and forth to the pace of BKFC, but they have that pace. They have a preternatural understanding of how that pace works with bare knuckle fighting. And those are the fighters that you love to see because they want to do everything possible to advance the sport, to make the sport bigger, to make themselves eventual world champions. Those are the kind of fighters. Those are the kind of supporters that I want to see on BKFC fights.
100%. And as you say, BKFC is different. What a guy for him to have his debut against Jacob Kasicki. You might not have watched him fight because he was on a prospect show in
No, I know he was
Newcastle.
on. Yeah,
And he
yeah, yeah.
fought Stephen
Mhm.
Taylor, another former pro champion boxer, and he gave him hell, mate. Like,
He sure did.
it
He
was a
sure
great
did.
fight. So, yeah, mate, it's going to be a great show. That there's some massive shows coming up. Obviously, you've got a couple of shows coming on over there as well, haven't you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, we've got BKFC Fight Night Philly in about 4 more days, and that's going to
Hollywood.
be over there at the very world famous 2300 Arena in Philly, or as we like to call it, the ECW Arena. Some of the most wild, crazy, bloodthirsty fans that you'd ever see are going to be descending on Philly for that one, and the
It's
main
good to see
event.
Dustin Pig get out as well because
Oh
he
my
his
goodness.
fighter fell out, didn't he? And
Yeah, he's
broke his ankle
actually
or something.
he's actually had a couple of fights fall out, unfortunately, and to have such a good fighter not have that platform, it's a tragedy. But boy, does he have some good competition in the King of Cali, Drew Angelcore, who's currently
Yes.
4-0 with only that one fight even. So that is a very well matched main event, and I think people are going to just get all over it. And of course, Dustin, he's out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which is right down the street from Philly. So he's going to have a lot of Pennsylvania fight fans rooting for him.
Yes, definitely, mate. And obviously, we'll talk about the main event as well at BKFC 70 in Hollywood. It's good to
Oof.
see Louis Palomino back in the mix, and what a opponent to put him in there with Howard H.D. Davis.
Wow. I about did a backflip, and I can't do a backflip when I heard about this. I was like, now that is a headliner. That is a headliner. That is Miami's best right there. That is Miami taking on Broward County with Howard Davis. And Howard Davis, ever since that he has moved up in weight, he has just been on a tear. He got out of 145 and he made the move up to 155, and he's big enough where the move, some as you know, when somebody makes a move in weight class, it's not so much as how they take on the weight that's the biggest problem, but how is their game and power going to translate in a heavier weight class? Because the way you hit at 145 may not translate the way that you should hit at 155. But I think
Yeah,
that is where Palomino has to be careful. Is because Howard's on a tear, and Palomino, if anybody wants to regain the pound for pound number one bare knuckle fighter in the world status, I think the Baboon does.
Definitely, mate. And in the co-main event, we've just been speaking about him, Leonardo Perdomo. What a test! Former pro champion heavyweight boxer
Former,
Steve
yeah,
Helios.
yeah, former IBF world champion Steve Aurelius on that, and Steve is 1-1 with us. He's only had 2 fights, but we remember those fights with Steve. So
Yeah,
when you got 2 heavyweights like this, man, it makes. I mean, his last fight, he went up against Andy Copeland, and
yeah,
unfortunately, he did lose that. He did lose that fight, but at the same point, it really taught him something. It really taught him how to cut his teeth in the heavyweight division. So I think he's going to be out there looking for a good fight. But here comes the question: can he withstand the storm of that explosive power that Perdomo likes to put on his opponent as early as he is?
yeah. He's an absolute wrecking ball, and it's great to see Velasquez back. I remember watching him back in the day with his fights against Datna winning that. What a fighter, mate.
The nightmare has returned. The nightmare. He actually has one of our fastest knockdown in history's record. He actually got a knockdown at 1 second. One
One
1 second. Yeah,
second.
just 1 second. Didn't get the finish, but he got the knockdown recorded at 1 second, which is still our fastest knockdown to date. Even though that we had a 2.9 second knockout not too long ago at BKFC 69 in Atlanta,
So
which,
was that the official time that then he actually did beat Uli Diaz?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was 2.9 seconds. I think Yuli Diaz was 3.2, 3.3, something like that. But no, 2.9 seconds is now the fastest knockout in combat sports history. Not just BKFC, but the fastest in combat sport. Nobody has knocked somebody out that fast.
Yeah, it's crazy that was a quick payday. Jesus.
It was one shot. It was one shot, which is another, and that's another thing that I love about BKFC. You don't back up to your corners and come out fighting. You toe the line 3 feet away in the face of your opponent. How cool is that, man?
Yeah, it's crazy. And also Louis Lopez is back in the mix against
Yep.
Edgar Palazalo.
That's a great fight. That is a great fight because Louis Lopez going into his 9th fight, Edgar Plazaola is 4-0 going into his 5th one. So you got guys that are really starting to get the taste for the squared circle. And this is the point where the matchmaking gets really interesting because now you're starting to see veteran bare knuckle fighters match up with one another. And you get those matches that you didn't think or knew that you wanted. But when it plays out, it's just like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, it's good to see he's had itchy knuckles for a while now, seeing him being calling to get back into the BKFC. Rambo Russo, he's back in the mix.
Yeah, we were wondering about him. We weren't exactly sure what the future held for him because let me tell you something. This guy has got an incredible following, a
Yeah,
huge following. This guy is a needle mover, a ticket seller.
yeah.
And we're very glad to have him back in the squared circle. 2-0, and he's going up against Justin Street.
What weight's that going to be at? Because Rambo's normally 2 weights below Justin Street, isn't he?
Um,
They must be meeting
I,
at one three
I'm,
five
I'm,
bantamweight, I'm guessing.
I think they're going to meet at bantamweight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Got some crazy, crazy shows coming up.
Oh no, no, that's going to be a fantastic event. BKFC 70. That's going to be, and it's going to be at where we're most well known. We have been to one place more than any when it comes to our BKFC journey. And Hard Rock Live, I believe this is either our 14th or our 15th event at Hard Rock Live.
Yeah, there's been some great shows. Louis Palomino's headlined half of them, hasn't he?
He's headlined them all. He's
Yeah.
he's practically headlined them all. He has been I still think he's the GOAT. I just think that technically he was outpointed. he was outpointed against Austin Trout. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That lone knockdown, unfortunately, was on Palomino's side. But Palomino, he didn't get the crap kicked out of him. I mean, no, he absolutely went in there as Palomino does. No, never say die, no surrender attitude. But unfortunately, Trout was just a little bit more ahead on the technical side.
Yeah, it was a great fight, to be honest. Obviously, we're talking about a WBA world champion when we're talking about Austin Trout. He's been in there with everybody. He's elite boxer, and I don't know. It was just a clash of styles, I think.
And now he's an elite bare knuckle fighter. I mean,
Yeah, world champion.
a WBA world champion, and now an elite, undefeated bare knuckle fighting champion, who's, in my opinion, is about to have one of the best fights of his life with BKFC against Carlos Trinidad Snake, because I guarantee you Carlos is not taking this fight lightly.
No, and he's a very tricky fighter, Carlos Trinidad.
He is hard to
6-0 as well.
He's hard to read. He is a very, very difficult one to read. But
Very
the fight,
long arms, hasn't he? Very long arms.
yeah, he's taller. I mean, Trinidad, he's about 6 feet tall. Austin Trout's about 5'10", so there is a little bit of a height difference. And as far as reach goes, I definitely give the reach to Carlos. So it makes for a good fight. But as much as I want to see that fight, there's one that I want to see just a little bit more. I've been waiting for this fight for a long time, and we're finally going to happen. It's going to be for the strawweight championship, Ty Emery and Britton Hart. That fight is going to freaking own.
Yes, it's going to be an absolute amazing fight. Ty Emery, toughest
They have
to come,
wanted
great little
each other
fighter.
they've wanted each other for a while now. And now that
Yeah,
we're finally making that happen on on our official United Arab Emirates debut. Wow. That one's going to get nasty.
yeah. There's quite a few fights on this card in Dubai who I haven't really seen. I know Johnny Tello. I've seen him in other promotions, and Marat Kazgan, obviously,
I love Marat.
guy from Turkey who's fighting. He's fought a few times in America, hasn't he? Twice, I think.
We've got a lot of debut fighters, which, as you would expect that many debut fighters coming over to Dubai, and they're from all over. I mean, this is truly a 2-day international extravaganza.
Yeah,
There's so much going on both days, and then we shift our attention over to day number 2, and we see. To me, this was a very unlikely main event, but it's still fun.
I wasn't expecting. Well, I heard
I
in the
wasn't
background.
expecting Tommy Stratham
Yeah, I
to.
thought it might have been
I
Brandon
mean,
Allen.
but then you look at his record. He's 4-0. He's had some very impressive fights with us, but now
Yeah,
he's taken it up to, in my opinion, someone who was literally like the razor thin margin fighter of the year. In fact, I believe he was actually, I take that back. He was the 2024 fighter of the year, Kai Stewart. Kai is like one of those guys to where the average bare knuckle fight fan takes a look at him, and he's young, he's got the
it
pretty
looks
boy
easy to
look.
beat, doesn't he?
He that's what how he looks. I mean, do not judge this book by his cover. This
100%.
man, undefeated in bare knuckle at 7-0, has that world class wrestling background, and that wrestling trading. You don't think that can't relate? You think that doesn't shift over to the clinch game here in BKFC? I guarantee you it does.
Like that run he had: Rusty Crowder, Louis Lopez, HD Davis, Duran, Jimmy Riviera. Like, what a run! Like, he hasn't had like easy fights. He's
Dude,
beat everybody they put in there.
Dude, he hasn't fought. He hasn't fought any tin cans, man. No tomato cans. Not at all. Not at all. And he's just going to get better. He's just going to get better as he moves on. And then we move along to another championship bout for a vacant title, for a brand new inaugural title, excuse me. Jessica Borga and Hannah Rankin. Another fun fight.
Is that featherweight though?
Yes, that'll be at
Yeah.
145 pounds. Yes, yes,
What a
yes. So
fight!
that is it. That
They
is
had a bit.
the inaugural women's 145-pound world title. Yep.
Yeah, it's a great fight this as well. I've seen the girls have a back and forward over in Philly at Knucklemania ringside. So yeah,
Oh,
there's a
they
bit of
stole
bad
it.
blood in this
They
one.
stole it. No, they absolutely stole it. And the featured fight is even fun. We got Brandon Superman Allen. In my opinion, he's just literally if he wins this fight, I think they'll probably give him Kai Stewart.
Mate,
I definitely I if
if
he beats
Brandon Allen beats Dan
yeah.
Chapman, mate, he definitely 100 million% should be fighting for the title next.
Yes, but we all know that Dan Chapman is the furthest thing from an easy fight.
Yeah, he's. I think he's got the ability, the skills, and everything to go all the way to the top in this sport. But I'm not
Well, he's
taking any.
exciting too. He's
Yeah,
exciting, man. I'm going to tell you,
great to
some
watch.
some of those Welsh-born fighters, man, they are some tough cookies, man. I mean, you've seen all the people that we got. I mean, perfect example, our own gangster Prince of Wales, one of my favorite fighters, David Round.
Yep,
It doesn't matter
100%.
win, lose, or draw, man. He goes out there and he cuts his teeth in that ring.
He definitely does. How would do? We got James Lilly as well.
Oh, James Lights Out Lilly, the standard man. He was the standard bearer. He was the standard bearer of the division for the longest time, and I think he still is. I think he's still there, man. It just depends on exactly where he wants to be in his BKFC career with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, and also staying on the Dubai card as well. In the next fight on, we've got a former UFC fighter from Wales, John Phillips. He's going to be fighting
Yeah.
against Fabio Maldonado.
I don't know much about Fabio Maldonado, but having John Phillips on there, another tenured fighter that's giving bare knuckle a chance. And you know what? You're going to see that from now on. In fact, that's actually going to be the question on everybody's lips when it comes to whether the UFC releases fighters or whether fighters, part ways from the company. One of the
Yep.
first things that people are going to say after that happens is he or she going to go to BKFC?
Yeah, of course, mate. And the next fight on, we've got Aaron Chalmers versus Chazza Simmons. Aaron Chalmers he's famous. Well, he's a very famous guy on social media. He was on a reality TV show in the UK.
Hmm.
Geordie Short was called. And anyways, from there he went on to box MMA. He fought in Bellator, had a good few fights in Bellator, and then he went on to boxing. He boxed Floyd Mayweather. Had a few big boxing fights, and now he's having his bare knuckle debut for BKFC against Chazza Real Talk Simmons, who's a former professional boxer. He's had one fight for the BKFC at BKFC 27 when he fought our
I
now Hungarian
remember
Franco Tenaglia.
Franco Tenaglia, yeah, our 155-pound world champion. He's a second time with us out here, and that one, I believe he got knocked out in the second round on that particular fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes around on this fight against a debuting bare knuckle fighter. And I think that anybody has to take that in mind when you're stepping into the squared circle against somebody who's already done this a time or two. It makes you wonder, what do I need to do in order to make sure that I'm one step ahead of somebody who's already done this?
Yeah, there's just absolute stacked. I'm not really sure on the other fighters. I think there's a few debutants on this one as well. Uh,
Most of them are.
yeah,
Most of them are. Again, we are a visitor to the wonderful city of Dubai, so we're definitely going to be having a whole bunch of fighters from all around that. And this is also an important show for us in Dubai because what we want to do is we really want to we want a built-in fan base in
yeah,
Dubai because there isn't the biggest built-in fan fight base in Dubai. And I think that that's really what they're trying what we're trying to do. Also, what we're doing with WLF. I believe that they want to really build the fight base. So that way, when we keep coming back to Dubai, people are just going to fall over themselves wanting to see this. And
Yeah.
I believe that we're going to be headed in that direction.
And obviously, you impressed the big guys over there in Dubai, and also I'm guessing there'll be like Saudis over there. Like you impress them, mate, and that's when they'll start getting massive investments as well.
Well, they're not really going
Not that they
to.
need
They're
it.
not. They're not going to see the level of awesomeness. I mean, you can take a look at it from afar, but you're never going to know until everything unfolds that night, till you're
Yeah,
sitting there ringside, arms
definitely.
crossed, and just watching all the reckless bare knuckle abandon that's just playing out in front of your eyes. And that is really what they're going to love. I swear, we are going to have so many fans over this 2 night event coming up in April. I can't wait.
And what would you like to see next from the BKFC? Would you like to see them get sanctioned over in Las Vegas?
We would like to see that. I'm not sure. I think that we already are. I think that we already are. I just don't think that we've. I don't think that we've done anything there as of yet, because I mean we're going to be celebrating 7 years at this come June the 2nd. Come June the 2nd. June the 2nd, 2018 is when the journey all started. So we're
Yeah.
7 years in. And I believe, as far as a fight promotion that has started and is now 7 years on, I believe that we have moved faster than anybody. We have moved faster and gotten more eyeballs on us worldwide than any other sport. But I give credit to where credit is due. I believe that the UFC had a hand to do with that, about building that foundation. They built that foundation so that sports like us can succeed when we have the right formula. And you better believe we've got the right formula, Lou.
Oh, we definitely have, mate. The BKFC definitely has got the right formula. What does ring announcing and your job mean to you, Jeff?
Everything. Everything. It's my life. It is the most precious thing I have ever had in this life that I will have. You only have one life to live. Thank God I was a ring announcer. I tell you that much. I love my job because I'm not an athlete. I'm too damn old to be an athlete. I tried amateur Thai boxing. I did some amateur Muay Thai back in my early 20s. I was 3-2 amateur wise, and it just wasn't for me. I had to accept the fact that God makes certain people out to be fighters, and I wasn't one of them. So, but I knew that I wanted to be around the fights in
Yeah.
any way that I possibly could. So, I was always a loudmouth. And usually when you're a loudmouth, you either find yourself on TV, on the radio, or if you're lucky, you end up becoming the lead voice of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, traveling the world, starting fights, and getting to see badass fighters take off their gloves, man. It's amazing.
And it's the reason, mate, why you're there doing that job, because you're the best in the game at doing it.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I know there's an old saying that, if you're the best at something, you shouldn't have to say it. I'm sorry, man. I believe in next level confidence, and that next level confidence is what has kept me here. And that next
Definitely
level
is.
confidence is what keeps you here. If you don't have it, you probably won't understand it. And it may look like arrogance. It may look like arrogance to you. It may look like, a guy who's full of himself. I'm like, to be on top, you have to have that mindset. You have to believe. No, no, no. You have to know in the pit of your heart that you are one of the best at what this is. And guess what? You got everything to back it up. So I don't apologize for saying those things because I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm trying to be the best in the world at what I do. That's it.
definitely is, mate, and you are the best in the world at doing it. But before we wrap it up as well, Jeff, is there anything else you want to share with us, or is there anyone you want to give a shout out to who's helped you on your journey?
I definitely want to give a shout out to my brand new Suit Samurai suit sponsor, Moshi Kent out of London. I
Oh
have
yeah,
been.
I've been speaking to Moshi. He's been messaging me. I know you're on about.
Oh, oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he. I met him in Philadelphia as well. He was in.
Who is this now?
Are you on about Moshi?
No, 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 no. They were, unfortunately, they did not make it to Philly. They did not make it to Philly, unfortunately. No, the Moshi Kent is based out of London, and they are a fantastic, beyond fantastic, bespoke tailor, and their designs. Let me tell you something, man. It's very, very seldom because I find jacket ideas all over the world. I
Y-
find different jacket ideas here, different jacket ideas there, but I've never found someone with who I wanted to be synonymous for the rest of my career, as far as my aesthetics go, than Moshi Kent. They just have their pulse on the heartbeat of what I like, and they're always trying to one up themselves every time that they give me a suit. I've got a couple of special suits coming up. One is going to be debuted at one of the Dubai shows, and the second one is going to be probably one of the best suits I've ever owned, and that's going to be in Florence on April 26th at BKFC on the Zone at the Florence show. That suit is going to be something special. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them. You can check them out at their official website, which is Mochee, Mochee.co.uk. Definitely check them out because you're not going to find a better deal when it comes to a custom suit that's literally made just for you and no one else.
Awesome, mate. Is there anyone else you want to give a big up to, mate, or was that it?
I'd also like to give, well, I want to give a shout out to everyone on the BKFC team. I want to give a shout out to everybody on the BKFC team because this is a team effort. I mean, everyone, everyone is an important spoke on that wheel that turns the amazing wheel of BKFC. So everyone with BKFC, I say thank you for your hard work. And I also thank you for putting your faith into this product because that is what helps make it spin. The faith of the team that truly believes that this is going to be the biggest thing out there in combat sports, and it truly is. So of course to all of the BKFC team, and especially to my broadcast team, Sean Wheelock, Chris Lytle, Brian Sosha, and Cyrus Fees, dude, we're the best on-air talent team in the world. Love you guys.
100%, mate. And I really appreciate you coming on tonight, Jeff. I'll be catching up with you surely, and it'll be great to see you again in Italy and Dubai. But yeah, mate, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, I thank you always, and I'm going to tell you something, man. It's always about the Fuse UK, man. I mean, if you are not checking out Lou, then I don't know what the hell you're doing because Lou's another guy who understands the fight game and has respect of all the fighters and all the promoters, and not only that, he respects them just as much. So that is a two-way street. So the Fuse UK, man, that is where it's at, guys.
Thank you very much, mate. I hope, like I said, mate, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and it was great catching up with you, brother.
Always, Lou. We need to do this more often. Thank you so much for having me on.
We do, mate, definitely. Thank you very much, mate.
All right, brother. You have a good one.
You too, mate. Speak soon.